Kind of Funny Live 2 is happening May 28th and 29th. It's a 2-day event. The first day is going to be a completely ridiculous stage show. What we have planned this year completely blows last year out of the water. And I don't even know how that's possible because we were really stupid last year, and this year's somehow even stupider. Day 2, it's going to be a full day of meet and greets. We're hanging out with all of us. A bunch of Rooster Teeth people are there. Funhouse people are there. Achievement Hunter. It's going to be a grand old time. There's going to be some games to play. There's going to be signings. It's exciting. It's a really fun time. There's going to be exclusive merch. Oh yeah, there's definitely going to be exclusive merch. Go to kindoffunny.com/tickets to get your tickets today. There's a couple VIP tickets still available, so make sure if you want one of those, you act fast. What's up, guys? Welcome to the first ever episode 69 of the Kind of Funny Gamescast. As always,
it's all
I'm
built
Tim
to this
Gettys.
for you, Tim. It's all built.
I'm joined by the coolest dudes in video
underwhelming.
games, Colin Moriarty and Greg Miller. Today's a very special day. It has all built to this. Many of you out there were wondering, what the fuck are you going to do, Tim? You're talking a big game about Kind of Funny Gamescast episode 69. Are you going to actually do anything differently? The answer is slightly. There's a slight theme to this episode, and that theme is good times. If you don't know, Kind of Funny Gamescast is a show where we talk about video games and other shit, Colin. Yeah, sometimes it goes
I
there.
thought you and Greg might just get on the table and 69 each other.
Well, there was a lot.
This table cannot take us both being on it.
This
69.
table. A lot of requests for us to do the show naked. I had to pass on that one.
I'll show you. I don't know if you're ready for it. But
Yeah, I ain't ready. I ain't ready for that jelly. But yeah, it's going to be a damn good show. If you got this show early because you're a supporter on patreon.com/kindoffunnygames, I appreciate you. And if you didn't, you could be one of those people I appreciate. Just throw some money that way. You can throw $69. You can even throw 69 cents. This is 69. I'm not going to use the rap air horn.
you won't get
excessively.
anything if you throw 69 cents, but you could do it.
Satisfaction.
No,
You're helping people out.
Trust me, you'll get satisfaction from it. So that's going to be a good old time. I'm going to get right fucking into it.
Okay.
You know, the show.
Topic number one.
YouTube.com/kindoffunnygames, all that stuff.
Sure.
Blah, blah, blah. Topic number 1, sex in games.
Sure.
We're talking a broad sense here. We're talking about what is your first memories of seeing sex in games? You know, what are some good examples of sex in games? What are some bad examples of sex in games? When I say sex in games, let's start it off here. What do you think about?
I mean, for me, like hot coffee is the first thing that jumps to
There you
mind.
go.
Right?
What is hot coffee, Greg?
Of course, in Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, there was a sex mini game that didn't make the final cut, but was still hidden in the code. And so in the PC version, people could get to it, and everybody flipped the fuck out, and it, like, for a week, earned them an AO rating, and it was taken off of shelves, and Rockstar had to reprint the game, put it back out, and not have that in there. And it was a huge brouhaha, because, of course, the news media picked it up that Grand Theft Auto has a sex mini game in it, and that was it. Everybody flipped the fuck out.
I love me a good brouhaha.
You know what I mean, Colin? These people just grabbing at headlines. Oh, they didn't do any investigative journalism to find out what was really happening.
Do you remember seeing it, though?
Yeah, oh yeah.
The hot coffee scene?
Oh, hell yeah. And I was like, damn, this is
titillating.
This is completely a letdown. Just these like really poor animations of CJ humping some lady from Doggy Style, and it was like, oh, all right. I can see why this is a huge deal.
What's weird about it is that it was such a big deal back in 2004-ish?
Yeah, San Andreas came out in 2004, but I don't know if it was found until 05 probably, because it was I don't think it came to PC right away.
Sometime around there, and it was just like that. Everyone was talking about that, and that was like a national headline thing. It wasn't even just like a IGN headline thing.
Because it's the biggest game going, and it somehow had this thing hidden behind it. I understand why it was such a sexy headline, but it was just like so poorly reported, because it made it sound like, you know, you do the Konami code and there you are, you're banging some lady.
Yeah, but no, it was like some weird hidden shit. But what's extremely interesting to me is then you look at like the later GTAs that get way more realistic looking.
Sure.
Next gen shit. You're talking about GTA 5. The straight up just the scenes in that are like not hidden at all, part of the game.
Yeah.
Like when you get the prostitutes in the car in GTA 5, it's like it's pretty graphic.
Right.
Shocking.
But there's no penetration.
There's no
can't
penetration.
see that.
There wasn't penetration in hot coffee either.
Sure, but there was implied.
I mean, it's implied in the.
I know.
It's really interesting what 10 years does.
Of course,
you know,
yeah,
in terms
yeah.
of desensitizing people.
Well, there's that, yeah. And then, Colin, I'll need your help on this. Is Mr. Retro? I want to say what is it? I'm thinking of wasn't it a Naughty Dog game, Super Nintendo or Sega, where you could put in a code and it would change the Fox logo to Naked Lady. What am I thinking of? Maybe it wasn't Naughty Dog or something. Or what?
They didn't make SNES games, but it could be a Genesis game like Rings of Power. Or something
Let me look that up because I remember that one being a big deal that there was like a secret code that you could get a Naked Lady out.
I mean, there's ancient. What was it like? There are a lot of like old PC games from the 80s that were like puzzle games that would show naked ladies like in like very pixelated forms. Obviously, you had things like Leisure Suit Larry. You have super racist and sexist games like Custer's Revenge, which I think is probably the first really overt use of sexuality.
Game,
yeah, and a really like very offensive game for a lot of people, rightfully so. I think that in terms of, I think you kind of put these things together like implied sex. Like I think there was like implied sex to a degree in even Final Fantasy 4 and Final Fantasy 6. Or just like love, kind of like very a closeness with some characters or whatever, but you don't really see it, with sprites or whatever like that. And so I think that with, I think Grand Theft Auto probably was the like 3 into a bigger Vice City and then San Andreas even more, I think, and then 4 even more were my first real introduction of video game sex, as it were. Then it was with Mass Effect, and then it was with Uncharted.
Yep. And now it's just a normal thing.
Yeah, which is kind of unfortunate. I mean, like
Rings of Power was correct.
Rings of Power.
Yeah.
So I kind of feel this way in cinema too, like in movies and TV. Like I'm watching The Americans right now, and which is fine. It's a show that takes place in the 80s. It's about Soviet spies, but like it's very hypersexual, and like I don't see like I've never really seen an example in fiction of where like showing graphic sex or showing like the act as opposed to implying or whatever ever adds to the story ever. Like I can't think of a single example of like where I'm like, well, that was really needed. As opposed to like just
You're
showing
telling
them.
me the sex scene in Terminator between Kyle Reese and Sarah Connor didn't bring you closer to them?
It's just like I'm not trying to be a prude at all in that respect. It's just like in fiction, like I think the implication is usually way more powerful than showing it. Like a great example is I think it's Uncharted 2. Chloe and Drake, the first time they have sex, they like just show Chloe like crawling on top of her or top of him, and then like the camera pans away. And I'm like, that's like great. That tells me as much as I needed to know, as if you were showing them like rolling around for 5 minutes. It's like, well, I never really in fiction. I kind of get uncomfortable with it sometimes.
Where do you come down with Mass Effect sex scenes then?
Like they're cool. Like the flirtation and the figuring out who you can be with in Mass Effect is way more fun than the awkwardness of like the different camera
Characters
angles.
Welcome to real life, Colin.
The
chase is always better than the actual act.
But to me, like I don't see that it's penetrated gaming as much as as it has film and television. But I'm even seeing it in Americans where I'm like, this is kind of uncomfortable. Like why do I need to see this shit? Like this doesn't add to the story. And so to me, like sex is a very powerful device in fiction, but it doesn't need and it's super additive, but it doesn't need to be seen. It's the same thing of like why it's identical to the two, unless you're watching like a snuff film or something where like when someone's killed in a movie or shot or stabbed or whatever, you don't really often see it, right? Like it's often like the guy puts the gun in the head and the trigger's pulled like in The Sopranos, and then the guy like falls to the ground. It's like you don't need to see the bullet careening through his head to know what happened and to have that be like a powerful sort of device. Mm-hmm. So anyway, that's a kind of a rant, but I'm glad that it's not been as prominent in games as it has been in movie and television, because I just don't see how it adds anything. Sex is important, love is important, but seeing it is like kind of uncomfortable.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I think it's contextual and it can add. I think the TV show example is Game of Thrones. A lot of it is unnecessary, but I do think sometimes it does add to the context of the story and stuff. I think God of War is a good example of it's graphic and unnecessary, but like that's kind of the point. Like it's supposed to kind of make you feel a little uncomfortable just because it's like it's God sex. You know what I mean? Like it is him treating sex as if it's just fucking. It doesn't
a way to
matter.
get red orbs.
Yeah, exactly. So I think contextually it could make sense. But then there's things like BMX XXX, which was one of my first memories of sex being a real big thing in video games. That was another headline thing. Mortal Kombat in the early 90s was all about the violence, and then BMX XXX was like sex, and it's like you couldn't read a video game magazine without previews of it.
That game looks so terrible.
Month, and it's so bad. When you look at YouTube videos now, it's like, how is this a thing?
Yeah, I just the sex sells, but it says a lot more about our society than about the games or the movie. Like I think about like you're talking about the Game of Thrones. Yeah, there are some additive sexual components to what I've seen in the first 3 seasons. I haven't watched it since, but The Tudors is a great example too. The Showtime is The Tudors, which is about Henry VIII, where it's like it's almost pornographic, and I'm like, I don't really understand. Like this isn't. He's having sex with all these women. We know that. So just allude to it. I feel like it's like almost a fictional cop out when you show it, as opposed to Like, you're wasting time. You need to waste 5 minutes or whatever. So you show like it's a graphic sex scene. And I'm like, I'm just sitting here kind of uncomfortable in my fucking chair in the movie theater, like wanting to see some actual story and some conflict or some dialogue or something like that. And so like apart from like Mass Effect and like The Witcher is a great more recent example, though it's way more tasteful apparently than it was done in Witcher and Witcher 2.
Yeah.
I didn't play them, but I know
You don't collect
the
cards now.
and you know, I guess that's kind of sexist. Although I don't agree with the charges that Witcher 3. Everyone's like Witcher 3 is. Did you see the Chinese Room tweet?
Yeah.
About the Chinese Room and the makers of Everybody's Gone on the Rapture and Dear Esther. They tweeted out when Witcher 3 when CD Projekt Red showed a picture of Cyberpunk 2077 of like a cyborg woman in like, you know, lingerie and stockings and stuff like that. And they're like, this is as sexist as we'd expect, whatever. And a lot of people were saying like, well, this is based on the source material. But I never found that the inclusion of sex made Witcher 3 sexist either. I don't think there's like very powerful women characters.
Exactly. That's the big thing. So you
you
want to level at it. In fact, you have to go in and talk about, you know, who Yennefer is, who Triss is, and what their characters are.
Yeah.
It's not that, you have sex with them, but that's also if you want to develop the relationship that way.
So I just say that to separate that and Mass Effect, I think, on one side, and then something like Grand Theft Auto maybe on the other side, where there is like a more of a sexual and sexist component to it that's really needless. But in all three cases, I don't think showing it has added anything. And I'll go back to that Uncharted 2 example. I think is the most powerful. That's the one I remember.
There was plenty of Mass Effect ones that worked, I felt. I remember like, and I didn't make the choice personally, but I can't remember if it was Liara or her mother. I think it was Liara though in one, right? That you could have sex with or whatever. And it was like, it panned away and it panned past her like blue butt, right? And this is the one that got like blown out of proportion on Fox News or whatever. And then they showed it to the pundit who was arguing against it eventually like a day later. And she was like, oh, that was totally fine. I'm stupid or whatever. That one was done well. But there are the weird ones, where like, I was thinking of in 2 or 3 now they run together where on your ship you could seduce that like secretary later or whatever and like bring her up. And it wasn't like a real relationship, but she got in the shower and then my commander Shepard got in there, my fem shep got in there. It's that totally awkward of like, hey, like, you know, them trying to bring these fucking bodies together to make it happen. But then, like, I think of, it's been so long now that I don't remember it well, but I remember, at least at the time, thinking Heavy Rain did it well with Ethan and Madison. Because that was a full-on, like, Madison's naked, Ethan's, but it was like, they're taking off their clothes or whatever to have sex. It wasn't sex in terms of, like, bumping uglies, but it was sex in terms of like the build up to it and what was going to happen.
Yeah, I think that you saying that it's a cop out, I don't necessarily agree that it's a cop out. I do think that it's really difficult to do correctly, and I think that you don't hit that, it feels like a cop out. It feels cheap and it's cringeworthy. There's a very fine line between it being awesome and being additive and it being cringeworthy, and I think that more often than not you're going to fail that stuff. But it's the equivalent to like large scale battles with stuff. There's a lot of times you see in shows or movies or anything, they just don't have the budget for it. So they'll kind of cop out and do like kind of like here's a quick version. And that's 99% of the time more effective than them attempting to actually do the actual fight because they couldn't do that right. But when they do it right, it is awesome. And it's thrilling, like Lord of the Rings, the second one. Like that's memorable because it accomplished
the Hobbit sex.
Yeah, because of the battle, it's an accomplishment. And I think that when sex scenes do stand out and like they do add something, it's really special. But more often than not, especially with video games, it's that weird uncanny valley thing where that's
the big thing. Is like when you bring together these models and something that has to be so intimate and so like, you know, touching someone and loving someone, that like when it's just like awkward, you know that they're like clearly their bodies are like clipping or whatever. It's just like, why even bother doing this? Why is this what it's got to be? Yeah.
Another, I think, good example was in Far Cry 3, the Blood Dragon. Did you guys play that?
No.
Yeah, I played, but I didn't beat it.
There's a fucking awesome sex scene. It's all like retro 80s, like 8-bit style cutscenes and stuff. And then I wrote the line down because it's fucking awesome. I want to be blinded with your cyber love. And it's totally aware of itself. And it doesn't show too much, but it shows more than it needed to.
Sure.
But it's perfect. It's like that perfect thing of like they nailed it because it is kind of a parody of itself.
Far Cry 3 is another interesting example too of sex in games with that woman who's on top of you from first person perspective. And I'm thinking of the ending, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. Do you remember it well?
I don't. I believe
it was awkward in quotes, but it was more disturbing. It was jarring. You know what I mean? It wasn't meant to be like, this is so fucking good. Like it was like, why is that happening? And then spoilers for the end of Far Cry 3, like she kills you. Like as she's having sex with you, right? Or like at least the very end, the part I'm thinking of. And I think there might have been a part early in the game where she was having sex with you, but it didn't kill you. But it was like, it was meant to be like, this is some kind of weird, oh, I'm dead. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't meant to be like, fuck, we nailed fucking.
That was awesome. No. I mean, going way back Super Mario Bros. There's no sex, there's no anything. That little kiss at the end, though, that was enough for me. I can imply, or I can infer some shit.
You really?
Yeah.
You think Mario and the Princess banged?
100%.
No way.
Yeah.
In
Super Mario Bros. 1, yeah. In the rest of them, probably not. She was sick of that shit. She didn't need that plumber dick.
Whoa.
But Super Mario Bros. 1, the pipes were clogged.
Jesus, Tim. Holy God.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with sex. That's my problem, is when people that act like there's an issue
I'm
with the
not saying
sex
there's anything
itself.
wrong with sex. It was just, I thought maybe he would lay some pipe, but the pipes were clogged.
They were clogged.
And he took care of that. All right.
He
All right.
did.
Okay.
I mean, I hope he did.
Or
I don't
did he
know.
clog the pipes?
I didn't play that part of the game. They did what Colin's talking about, and they didn't show it.
But I don't know they're implying the same way Colin's talking about them implying.
I don't know, man. Did
That's
you see that? Did you play Super Mario All-Stars version?
I don't think I
That
did.
has an animated thing of them kissing, and that kiss, it made him blush.
Yeah.
And if I know Nintendo.
You do.
Mhm.
You think that led to the bumpins?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then there was Pokemon Gold and Silver when you can make the Pokemon
All right.
mate. You leave them at the breeding center, and then they have the kids.
Viva Pinata did sex really well. Animal husbandry, right? Where they went and then they little cute animals came out. That was fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, you'd have to. If I'm lying, I'm dying.
Yeah.
When I leave my Pokemon at the breeding center, I know what's going on. I'm not stupid. 8-year-old Timmy, he's imagining that Pikachu bumping nasties with Jigglypuff. It's getting all up in that, laying them eggs. I have to walk 1,000 steps to make them hatch. Yeah,
Wait, who's laying the eggs?
they do.
Which one?
Then you have the Poke egg. I don't know, whoever the female is.
Okay.
Don't ask stupid questions, Craig.
I'm sorry. I'm not familiar with the breeding rituals
I have a list
of
of
Pokemon.
other games. Let's see. I think we talked about most. How Do You Do It is a more recent one.
Oh, sure.
That we did.
Nina's game.
Nina's game, yes. We did a Let's Play of it.
Right.
Me and Nick over at youtube.com/kindoffunnygames.
Sure.
I enjoyed that a lot. You
Yeah.
see that one?
Mm.
It's when you there's 2 dolls, and when your mom leaves you, and you have to figure out how to do it because you don't know how to do it. I didn't know how to do it. Still might not know how to do it.
On that level, Cybele's another great example of it. A game based on losing your virginity or whatever, and through a relationship you build in the game. But again, it's not your sex is part of the story, not so much like the end goal, right, or how it all plays out. It's just it's used the way that wouldn't make it. That's not exploiting it. It's about falling in love, and it's about exploring this relationship and about that thing. But it comes down to losing your virginity to this guy that you've met online.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting. That's good. I thought that was a good way to handle it.
I need to check that out. It
Yeah.
definitely sounds like an interesting game, right up my alley.
Yeah. No, you'd enjoy it. It's definitely interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Very different.
So to kind of wrap this topic up, unless you guys have anything more to add, going back to the Mario thing, jokes aside, my first real introduction to the idea and concept of sex and video games together was the benefit rap song Warp to World 6-9, which perfectly ties into this topic.
Yes, of course.
Where he made a rap song about trying to beat Mario for the first time back when he was in elementary school. And there's a line where he says that he remembers when one of the kids says that if you beat the game, you see the princess naked. And that drove him to want to beat the game. And it's a really graphic song. It's a nasty rap song. But I remember hearing that, and it totally changed my entire view of the video game, where I'm like, oh my God, that's awesome. When you're a little kid, you know what boobs are. So pixelated boobs sounds awesome. I remember that. It stuck with me, and it pushed me to beat Super Mario Brothers.
Were you
Didn't see
disappointed
that.
when you got there and there was just
No, I was happy. Again, I saw the blushing, and I'm like, all right, cool.
The
That's implied. I know what's
deformed
up.
princess you
I
were
know,
chasing the entire time?
I'm
This
in
looks
Mario,
so
get it?
fucked up in the original Mario.
It's Sloth in a dress. It's a Sloth from the Goonies in a pink
Yeah,
dress.
It's pretty bad. It is pretty bad. All right.